The essence of what Georgians for Fair Taxation is about is that we've operated on the national level trying to get the fair tax implemented nationally. But this past year, we moved to include the state initiative of getting tax reform in the state. And notwithstanding the elements that Dr. Rees brought in, and she's done a wonderful job of presenting some possibilities for tax reform, our position, and I think we've got a pretty good statement to make, that we should just go completely to a consumption tax model, do away with all income taxes and all exemptions. And we can allude to a number of states that have already done that, dynamically we can show that the states that in the country, there are 9 states that don't have an income tax currently, and those are Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, Wyoming, and then Tennessee and New Hampshire have a modified income tax on dividends and interest only. And then there's this chart here that shows from 2000 to 2010 the states that had the most job growth. And that's what we're talking about here, is economic activity and job growth. And if you'll look at the states that had the largest...
Is that in our folder?
No, I've got copies for you.
Okay.
I haven't put them in the folder. The states that had the largest amount of job growth were Texas and Florida at the top of the list. Both of those states don't have income taxes. Down in the middle of the losses is Georgia. Down about the middle of it, losing in the range of about 150,000 jobs over that length of time. And so the empirical data is here. And also another piece of data that I don't have a chart for, but the analysis is that the 9 states that don't have an income tax represented 62% of the job growth over the last 10 years. So those statistics alone would show that we are, in the barnyard term, sucking hind tit. And I hate to say that, but that's just, with a lot of farmers here, I'm sure. So from the economic competitiveness standpoint, we need to make some substantial changes. And simplification and transparency is what we're all about. You can't get any simpler than just having a single consumption tax on all new goods and services with no exceptions, no exemptions, no favorites being played across the board, versus the current system that we've got. It's got all the exemptions, exceptions, and favoritism in it, as Dr. Rees alluded to, that the biggest problem in that is going to a very simple system from a very complicated system. All of the vested interest in that as she alluded to, would be screaming and chattering about this is going to hurt us, winners and losers. But my contention is that there are no losers in this new system. It is good for everybody. Everybody plays on the same playing field. It's a system that engenders substantial economic growth for the state. It creates jobs. It brings in new industry. And there are other factors, too, that come into play that are not even discussed in this dynamic, is that why would we want to create and continue to have hurdles for companies looking at coming to Georgia when we've got so much notoriety about our public education system? I've been in the real estate business over 40 years, and most of the folks that move to a new place look at the education system where they're moving as one of the major components of why they might move, or they factor in as to a desirable place to live. And with the notoriety that Georgia has gotten on the public stage with the educational system and the problems inherent therein, there are many reforms that need to be made there. Why would we want to add to that negativity the tax system that we have to keep companies from sending their people to Georgia and opening new companies here? It's just another sort of thorn in the side of the corporate structure as far as looking at Georgia favorably. We are about educating the public and the whatever arena it is that needs to know what tax reform would mean. We support replacing the current tax system rather than just reforming it, making it simple as possible, where everybody can see when they buy something, they pay taxes on that purchase, and that's the only taxes they'll be encumbered with, and not have to go through any tax returns on a yearly basis. Simplifies the system, does away with a lot of bureaucracy, so it just makes everything much more simple. Now, as far as other states are concerned that are looking at the tax reform possibilities, one of the ones that are the most, that's the closest to us is South Carolina. They've got a bill in their hopper they've put in a couple of years ago that probably within this next session will be enacted. And they call their bill the FairTax Act for South Carolina of 2013. And the reason it's called the FairTax Act is because it virtually is the same as the national plan. It incorporates virtually all of the same elements of it, including a prebate. If we're worried about treating everybody fairly, then the prebate takes care of that. And the other dynamic is that when you broaden the tax base appropriately, which the fair tax would do, then it's shown in these other states that their sales tax rate typically remains very close to what it was to begin with. Broadening the base, including the prebate factor, transparency, the economic engine that would be prevalent within the new system, all of those things point toward straight income tax, straight consumption tax, no income tax. The fair tax model works. I'll hold any other comments or questions later. Thank you, sir.